plus if you want to grow your population. There is speculation that we aren't too far away from artificial wombs. So is that something you play with as far as the technology? Because I do imagine we're going to need to do something to speed up our repopulation of the stars.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I have one character who is using that technology to build a cattle ranch. So that's a little bit later in the book. And so there's also the idea of if you have this collection of embryos, for instance, and you want to make sure that they are genetically sound, if you have the technology to go in and tweak the genes and adjust things, like to cure diseases before someone is born, that actually plays into it as well. The main character's sister, who is in a care facility, comes into this as well. Like there's a doctor that comes into the story a little bit later, and how his research is working toward finding a cure for her. So lots of different things on genetics and how that works, and how you can repopulate, whether it's through the people or the large animals that you can't just put on a spaceship, all of those sorts of things. And so I like having a world that's filled out enough to where those sorts of questions have answers, instead of, well, I didn't think of that. It's a case of, okay, how would I do that? And yes, some of that does play into the story. And so if you have somebody who's out to sabotage my rancher, they can do that technologically rather than playing old school wrestler and running the herd off.
We actually have some of that technology with the CRISPR stuff. The problem is we don't understand the genes enough to make it efficient. I know a couple years ago, there was a Chinese doctor that experimented when he was doing IVF on the babies because he wanted to make them AIDS resistant. But he didn't ask permission from the families. We don't really know what happened to the kid, and he just sort of disappeared. And I imagine at some point his family was given the bill for the bullet, because it's sort of how the CCP rolls. But I mean, if we're able to do that now, I mean, 200 years, one would think, assuming some sort of ethical consideration doesn't stop the research, they're going to actually make that more